Welcome to Moto State Podcast, where we talk about motorcycles, life, and everything in between.
Tour pack for the FXR, so played around with that, and yeah.
Will that Pelican case take the place of the Sissy bar then? Will that Sissy bar come off and the Pelican case will go on?
So I bought from Boosted Brad. I bought the quick detach system.
Yep.
And then something I learned from a guy back home, the side plates are off 05 and up Sportster quick detach side plates. So it's about $100 cheaper to get on eBay. And I found brand new ones like OEM still in the Harley box, black side plates. So I got those for $75. And one will be the ones that came with Boosted Brad will be for the Sissy bar, the other one will be for the tour pack. So they just click in just like your tour pack does now, works the same. So it'll be super handy. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Little fine touches of things I've been wanting to do, and there's a few other things I still need to do, and but it was like 60 degrees today, and so I could work with the garage door open and not freezing my ass off. So.
Well, you broke our streak. I was hoping we'd avoid talking about the weather, but no, dude. I was like biting my tongue when you were saying that because it's been like beautiful here. And I've gone on a couple road trips over the course of the last couple weekends, and came home yesterday evening, and today it was a really nice day here. And then all of a sudden we get this alert on our phones, and we're expecting 6 to 13 inches of snow right before we leave for Mama Tried.
Stupid.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be vulnerable for a minute here. And I'm gonna put out some information that I haven't talked about really, and so because it's real and life is real, and we talk about that on this podcast and talk about men's mental health and that kind of stuff, and so I've been struggling a little bit lately because I find myself at 50 years old unemployed. The company that I was working for eliminated my position. And this is a first for me in my lifetime that I've been affected by or effectively what you'd call laid off. It's never happened to me. It's never happened to me in my profession in healthcare. It's screwing with me a little bit right now. I didn't expect myself to be in this position at this point in time in my life. But because of it, I've gone on a couple of road trips that I probably wouldn't have gone on. So last weekend, I went down to see Tony. He was just on our podcast a little while ago. I went and saw Tony and another one of my friends, Jay, down in Louisville and spent a few days down there. And then this last weekend, I took my daughter to the airport. She flew to Chicago to see one of her friends, and she got really, really sick while she was down there. And my wife and I had to go back and pick her up, like sick enough that she couldn't fly. So we had to go and pick her up. So we left on Friday and drove to Chicago and drove all the way into downtown Chicago where we had our hotel, and picked up my daughter that night and stayed in a hotel and drove back on Saturday. So effectively I've driven across 3 or 4 states in the last 2 weekends in a row, and I will do it again next weekend for
shit more than that. Yeah, that's wild.
Mama Tried. So 3 weekends in a row I'll have driven across the country. So I'm not in the position I plan to be right now at this point in time in my life. So it's obviously changed a few things and changed some plans and that kind of stuff, but ultimately I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. My wife and I both, really believe that that's the case. And so I find myself in a position of job hunting. So I don't know what the future holds. So
that being said, we'll put it out in the atmosphere here. Like, if you have any connections, contacts within the medical field and the radiology field, I'm sure Ryan would appreciate any referrals you might potentially, or introductions. Even just an introduction goes a long way. And I say that, and I'll say that for Ryan, and he can obviously correct me, but I've been in your shoes 3 different times because banking is very volatile. Not sure if you remember 2008. And 2011 was not a great year either. Or 07, 08, 2011. Anyway, and I've worked for a startup before, which was fun until it wasn't. But, it's not fun, and it's rarely expected. And especially to go through that for the first time, it's a shock to the system. And I'm speaking for myself here, not Ryan, but when you go from having a steady income, health benefits, and all that, PTO, 401k, and all the other numbers and letters you can combine, it's a great feeling. You feel secure, and all of a sudden when that's gone, it's not a great feeling. And that certainly happened to me when I was single, when I was married and had a kid. So I've gone through it in different phases of life, but the feeling's still the same. So it costs nothing, as we say, supporting us like on Patreon or reposting things on social media. This also costs nothing to make an introduction to someone you may know. And you know what? Maybe you don't know about an opening, but the person they meet, you introduce Ryan to, they may know someone, or know someone knows someone. You never know. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon here. You never know how that can work out. So I'm a firm believer in just making introductions and connecting people and let things work out the way it is. So we'll use this platform to help out with that as well.
Well, I appreciate that. Like I said, I never expected myself to be in this position. It's never happened to me before. And so, there's all kinds of unexpected feelings and emotions and that kind of stuff. I can say, and I'm not bragging. I'm just making a statement. I have always been identified as a high performer in all of my jobs I've ever had in my life. And I was not terminated for cause. My position was eliminated. And so that is that in itself is a little bit of a gut punch. You know what I mean? I guess if I had done something to warrant it, I would understand the situation. You know what I mean? I would have to take responsibility. I would have to step up to the plate. But in this situation, I did nothing wrong, and it still ended up poorly. And we find ourselves at different points in time in our lives in different situations. And I have been fortunate enough to always be, to have a good job, to be employed. And I've moved up the ladder, so to speak, in healthcare with my education and my experience and, my leadership and that kind of stuff. And so, I find myself in a unique position of I can't just take any job that comes around either, because I have to fit into a certain financial category now also. And so that makes it that much more difficult when looking for positions, because I have to get out there and the market's a lot more competitive than people think. And I will tell you what, the other phenomenon that is happening, and this is a sad reality, but companies like to boost their profile. And one of the ways that they boost their profile is they post fake positions that don't actually exist, so that they can tell their shareholders and stockholders that they are interviewing and hiring people, because it shows growth in the company. And because of that, social media has become a bit of a pariah when it comes to looking for jobs. And there are people even on a professional platform like LinkedIn that are looking to take advantage of people when they're in those situations. So if there's fake recruiters, there's fake jobs, all of those things exist, and it makes it that much more difficult. So, especially with the popularity and advent of remote working, you know what I mean? That becomes a challenge. And then the other thing for me is that I live in a fairly small community, and so I mean, compared to a lot of other people, I have exhausted a lot of my resources locally, and we are not in a position to move, especially move my children with or my youngest for sure with where she's at in school.
Sure.
It would be extraordinarily detrimental to her. So, there's a potential that I could be separating from my family for a while to make things work. So we don't really know what the future holds for us, but we're going to soldier forward the best we can.
Well, yeah, you're gonna do what you need to do. That's what we all try to do.
Yep.
Take care of ourselves, take care of our family. So, well, listen, thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable, being willing to share that. That's not the easiest thing, even if you did nothing wrong. So good on you for doing that. But that being said, you know what this week is, right?
I don't. What is this week? Oh, well, wait, hold on a second.
What?
I mean, I guess we're headed to Mama Tried, right?
Yes, Mama Tried. Holy shit! Cannot wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
It will not be long until there are cold beer flowing at Elwood's, races galore, motorcycles everywhere. I can't wait. It's gonna be bratwurst and cheese, curds, and what's spotted? Is it Spotted Cow? Is that the beer up there?
I don't know. I don't drive. I'm a Blue Moon man. I'm not a Spotted Cow drinker.
So I'm probably catch some heat on this. That's some awful beer. I've tried it, and Wisconsin people think it's the best thing since buttered bread, and I do not. I don't care for it.
Spotted Cow?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Whatever
that it's something like that. I did not like it. So
I don't even know what it is.
I'm going to get some hate mail for that, but whatever. It's fine. I ain't scared. But yeah, looking forward to seeing everyone this weekend. It's going to be at Mama Tried. I know we have a pretty good contingency of listeners that are going to be joining us up there.
Yeah, we're going to have a big crowd for sure.
Mm-hmm. So I know there's a few people going to be there Thursday. I will be there Thursday afternoon. And heading out midday on Sunday. So holler at your boy if you're around Thursday. Undetermined what I'm going to do Thursday evening. During the day, probably depends on when I get in. I know there's some races at the Harley Museum. Might do that. Dinner, I don't know. A lot of that will be determined once we get there, especially Friday night. Depending on when everyone rolls in Friday night, we'll try to grab some dinner before Flat Out Friday. We'll let you know. May try to plan that ahead of time, so maybe we can get some reservations somewhere. But we'll let you know.
I don't know. There's also like this Irish pub that we've gone to a couple times. That's downtown by the races that we've had a lot of really good luck getting into.
Okay.
And you can go there and you can eat and drink and we've been able to go in and get multiple tables every single time we've gone down to Mama Tried. Now, maybe I'm just fooling myself, but that has worked for us.
Sure.
In the past, and I think that my wife and I are probably going to leave here. I'm hoping between 5 and 5:30 in the morning, so that we can get down there by about 3. I think it's about 10 hours for us. So we're hoping to roll in about around 3 or so. If we leave that early, we usually miss most of the traffic, providing that the weather and roads and everything are good. I mean, our roads are going to be fucked up when the storm comes in. So it's going to take a minute for us to get out of the bad roads, but we got a good vehicle for getting through that shit. So
yeah, I think it's a 5-hour drive for me, 5:15-ish. So I'm hoping to be on the road around 9:30, 10 o'clock. Yeah, so we'll keep everybody posted on where we're at and what plans are. Certainly, if you bought, I think we let everyone know where we're sitting for Flat Out Friday. If you need a reminder, let me know. I can't tell you right now because I can't remember, but we'll tell you where we're sitting in case there might be some tickets. Hoping to see a lot of
There's going to be a contingency of people that are around us because a bunch of people bought tickets right near us too. So I think it's going to be Luke and I and my wife and Luke's girlfriend and Bob and his wife Maggie are going to be in that area. And I think there's people in front and below us that are going to be sitting around us. I know that I'll probably reach out to Whit Mesa. So those of you that are out there that know Whit, Whit holds a few motorcycle records. She was the first female to do the 50 and 10. So 50 states, I guess it's 48 and 10. It's not 50, right? 48 and 10. So she did. She was the first female rider to do the 48 and 10 on a Harley Davidson.
Damn, that's impressive.
So and she did it.
Of who you are.
She did it in under 10 days. And then Harley put that bike in the museum for a while, and then they gave it back to her. And she was in the middle of doing coast to coast from Key West to the tip of Alaska, and she was gonna. So she, essentially put her toes in the water in Key West, and then she was gonna go put her toes in the water in Alaska, or whatever by the Bering Strait up there, that furthest tip of Alaska. And on her way, I believe, on her way home. She got into an accident, I think, in Montana, and totaled that bike that did the 48 and 10.
That sucks.
Yeah, so it was a Pan America. She, it's kind of like she got in this accident, woke up in the hospital. She was uninjured, pretty much. Her husband had to go and pick her up, and but she since has another Pan America. But yeah, I'm gonna reach out to Whit. She contacted, put out a message who's going to be out there. I said that we were going to be, and so I'll reach out to Whit, so we might have a opportunity to connect with her. I think she's working at a booth at Mama Tried, so we might see her in the event too. So
I know AP from OG Moto is going to be there. I'll reach back out to him this week, see what his plans are, but we'll need to definitely connect with him. I need some fork tubes too. So AP, help me. I'm just kidding. But I will be ordering from. I say that jokingly. I will be ordering some fork tubes from OG Moto. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. It's gonna be a great time. I know Taylor from Shifter Crew and a lot of those guys are gonna be there. So yeah, it'll be fun. Fun time had by all. So. And, it's going to be a crazy week for me. So I leave out Monday morning, fly to Dallas, drive 3 hours to Abilene, Texas, do a site visit Tuesday morning, drive back to Dallas, going to go by the Fast Life Garage and see Jace. Probably try to hit up their T-Bar Tuesday bike night, fly back at 6 a.m. Wednesday morning to St. Louis. And then hit the road Thursday morning and drive to Milwaukee. So it's gonna be a wild week, but it'll be a lot of fun.
You've got a lot on your plate next week. I'm going to roll out of bed sometime around noon. No, just kidding.
Yes.
Just kidding.
Why not? Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I got to do those dad responsibilities, get my kids to school, that kind of stuff. But no, we'll have it'll be good. Hopefully, who knows? Maybe I'll have some news by Mama Tried that I'll have secured some employment, or at least I've got a couple of leads that I've been working on. So we'll see.
That's great.
See what happens.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, and I think it goes without saying. Like looking forward, we'll make sure we get some pictures of everyone together. But at some point, we'll let's not get the cameras out every chance we get once we get to Elwoods or somewhere at night, because things get put on the internet and they never go away. And let's just be careful about that. I kid. I'm not expecting anything of that, but I say that as kind of a lead in to today's episode of the internet has receipts. And I think after the last week and what we've seen, at least in the motorcycle community, the internet is undefeated. I think is maybe the best way to put it. That it for better or worse, it is undefeated.
Yep. You could say, if you're keeping score, like Luke said, the internet's undefeated, and
international champion.
Right. Exactly. Right. And if you haven't, or don't know, there was a situation with an article in Easy Rider magazine. I'm not going to go into great detail because I don't want to get the facts mixed up. I don't want to
on
get
their website, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. So not in magazine. It was on a website run by the owner of Easy Rider magazine, right?
Yep.
And so there was an article that was published that was, let's just say not great, not great at all. And unfortunately, like Luke said, when you put things on the internet, the internet's going to win, and that situation got very heated. It caused a lot of influencers and people in the industry to get involved, and rightfully so, right? I mean, there are things that are tolerated and things that aren't tolerated, things that are right and wrong, and I think what we found out is that the gray area gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and for some things there shouldn't be a gray area, and it led to some significant backlash within the industry.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen screenshots at this point of the article, or story, I should say. It's not an article, it's a story.
It's a fiction story.
A fictional story, but underage things, and it just wasn't, to Ryan's point, there's no gray area there when it comes to any kind of fictional or non-fictional story when it comes to pedophilia, as they say. I think I pronounced that correctly, but you get the gist. And being the dad of a underage daughter, it did not sit well with me, and unfortunately, it didn't sit well. Or unfortunately for Easy Riders, but good on a lot of other places, it didn't sit well with them. And you saw posts from multiple people, whether it was Law Tigers, Tucker Speed, and so many others, just thinking of the first two off the top of my head, but so many sponsors or people that subscribed or supported the magazine quickly did not. And that's something that we've seen for a long time in these internet culture, and I guess you could, people like to throw around the term cancel culture as well. Mm-hmm. And this is definitely an example of that. Time will tell if it truly is, if they are canceled. For me, it's one of those, it's a magazine. So you're already holding on by a thread anyway. You're on
True
thin
enough.
ice.
True enough.
But there's just not a market for magazines in general. Not speaking ill. I wish no ill will to Easy Rider. They've dug their own grave with this. But any magazine's not. It's not what it was 25, 30 years ago.
Right.
So, but you've seen it. You've seen it go both ways with celebrities over the years. Whether it was Ellen DeGeneres or Roseanne Barr or whoever. Just a couple of random people that came to mind. I was looking at a list earlier this week, but they all of a sudden they went away real quick. But then the flip side, there's also you drop a good sex tape like Kanye and Kim Kardashian or Tommy Lee and Pamela, and it has no bearing on it. So, granted, those are not apples to apples comparison to what happened here.
And some might say that tape for the Kardashians actually boosted that family's view in the public eye, right?
Yeah.
And
sure.
and so you don't have any control of it. Now that could have gone the other way. I mean that could have gone the way of Kim Kardashian could have been just another internet pariah, but it didn't, right? So you have to be real careful. I'll give you an example that happened just within the last 48 hours in my house. So I know that Luke has done this, but one of the things you have to do as a father of a child of any age or any sex, male, female, or other, your children have to be taught now at a very early age that the internet's forever, that what you put on the internet will not go away, and that, like Luke said, the internet's always going to win. So teaching your children about their online profile, their online persona, what they do, whether you're going to take a political stand, whether you're going to take a personal stand, whether you're going to show yourself in a bikini, whether you're going to show yourself working out in a gym, whatever it might be, that people are going to weigh in with thoughts and opinions on that you may or may not like, or that they may or may not like. They might not like your content. So within the last 48 hours, my daughter posted a video of her dog kind of going crazy after a bath. In the last 24 hours, that video's gotten 12,000 views.
Sure.
Where in modern society, when we were kids, we couldn't have gotten 12,000 people to look at anything we've done, right? And now, in the world that we live in now, the average kid can make a video opening up a soda can at their kitchen table, and that video might get 1 million views. You might have 1 million eyes on it. You might have 10 million. You might have 20 million. You don't know. And you might have 5 people. And one of those 5 people might tell you to go in your closet and hang yourself. Right? I mean, that's the thing, is that you open up this can of worms and words come out and things happen, and you can't take those things back because it's there forever. And so you have to be vigilant about what you're doing, how you're doing it. Some people have a very carefully crafted persona on the internet. Some people put out their whole lives. I mean, there's pros and cons to all of that. And, you have to live and die by those things.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's, my daughter has no social media, but it's conversations, around that because, at some point she will, and that's inevitable. But, first thing we talked about was, and she has no mainstream social media. She has some kids app that is a kids version of Snapchat. It is not Snapchat, but very similar, but you can't screenshot anything on that. Pictures disappear in a certain time frame, a very short time frame. So, like I said, high level, similar to Snapchat. But I explained to her, you put it out there, someone screenshots it, it's theirs. They own that now. They can do whatever they want to it. And with Photoshop type technology and apps out there now, that could be something that could turn into something you never even imagined and could really hurt you.
Have you and your ex-wife discussed when it's going to be appropriate for your daughter to have those things?
Yeah, I mean, there was talk of doing that when she turns 13, but that was almost a year ago. So sure. She still doesn't have it. So
sure,
we'll cross that bridge once it's pushed a little more. She's going to be starting high school in the fall. I imagine that it will be coming soon after that.
Sure. Because I always think about it and not directly related to you, but I always worry in situations where, when our children become late adopters of things, and we're trying to protect them, right? We're protecting them from a world that they're going to enter at some point, and then do they go off the deep end because they've been sheltered from it for so long, or is putting your toe in the water a little bit and kind of letting them ease into it? That's kind of what we did in my house, is we let them ease into it. And I have always been the kind of person that is, we have talked to them. We've talked to them about, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, that kind of stuff. And I've always given my daughters enough leeway that I want them to make some decisions on how they want to be perceived, how they govern themselves, how they want people to treat them. I want them to decide some of those things on their own rather than me deciding those for them. And I'm not criticizing you as a parent, so please don't think that I am, or anybody out there for that matter. I just know for me, this is what we've done. And the reason why is that I want them to own their own identity, and to decide for themselves what they want that identity to look like and how they want to shape that identity, and that it's not shaped by my stern hand or my influence in a way that could potentially be detrimental, right? And not that I wouldn't. I mean, if I went on my daughter's phone and I said, open up your Snapchat, and all I saw was naked pictures that she was sending to people, don't think for 1 second that phone wouldn't find a hammer in my bedroom or bathroom or garage or whatever, wherever you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I'd end that situation real quick. But I don't think that having another adult told me at one point in time in my life when we were talking about, I myself was a late adapter of technology. I, in fact, didn't even have a cell phone till our second child was born. So I didn't have a cell phone. My second child my youngest is 14. I didn't get a cell phone till she was 14 years old. So count back the years and look at what year that was, right? What year was that? 2011?
12.
12? It was 2011.
Okay.
I didn't have a phone till 2011, my own cell phone.
That's wild.
And so, and I was perfectly happy not having it. But what happened to me is that very same thing. I went from not having one to I got a phone, then I quickly got a Droid phone or like an Android phone, and then I got an iPhone, and there was no looking back. Now I would, I feel like it's my third arm, and not necessarily in a bad way. I've cultivated what I think is a healthy relationship with social media and with things that that I do on there. I try not to doom scroll. I don't get involved in messaging apps, and I've actually for me it started I think with YouTube, and then it went to Instagram, and
Okay.
I have YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and that's really the only social media that I utilize. I've never done Snapchat. I've never done. I never did Twitter. I guess I do have. What's the Threads? Is that the one that's connected to
Instagram?
to
Yeah.
Instagram? I've been on Threads, but I don't. I have it just as a place to put stuff. I've not really utilized it or used it per se.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a there's a bigger picture that we need to think about beyond what happened with Easy Rider or the conversations with our children. What does this say about us right now with where we are in society?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was not a late adapter to phones, but I was definitely a late adapter to social media. I didn't have any social media till 2012. Started with Twitter, and that was it. I guess if you count LinkedIn on a professional side, and that was it until fall of 2017 when I actually I was on Facebook in 16, but only because of Sophia's daycare had a private page. That was it. So I didn't really lean into social media, Facebook, Instagram, all that till late in 2017 into 2018, and I've tried all the social media. Only I've got a handle on everything, but I'm not active on all those things. And I would say the only reason I'm active on TikTok is because we have an account there. That's really it. But for me, I wanted to at least play around in all those apps because I knew Sophia would want social media at some point, and trying to determine what I felt most comfortable with her having and make sure I knew how to use that platform so I could guide her and also keep an eye on things. Less worried about her, more worried about the other dumbasses out there. So that's really been more of it. I mean, I'm active on Facebook and Instagram, and that's really about it. So throw some stuff on TikTok and YouTube just for fun, but mainly just running Moto States social media is more where I'm active. But yeah, I mean, as a society, it's interesting. To me, as a society, there's way too much. There's way too many people out there who will only push back on someone when they did something wrong if they don't have a vested interest or a monetary interest in that subject. And that's the most unfortunate part. I think you've seen it way too many times where, what was A10 before? Was it Cali something Cali off road or whatever they did?
Oh, Cali, was it Cali Moto?
Cali, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And they became A10, and that
Yep.
huge uproar, call it a year and a half ago or whatever it was. Yeah, I mean that's there's so many people there's so many people that jumped off the ship with them because of what happened, and I mean there was some really weird things going on there. But at the end of the day, the son who was really running the company, and here's a great example to teach your kids about. He was posting naked pictures of his girlfriend, underage girlfriend. Or she was underage when the pictures were taken, as payback because they had broken up, and man, that so obviously there's laws against that, thank God,
Right.
And so he had to register as a sex offender, and so some people did some private investigating into it and found out his past, and the guy handled it poorly and didn't do himself any favors through this. But there's so many people that continue to do business with him, and I'm not saying you should have or shouldn't have. I didn't. I never did business with him anyway, but I quit following him. And if it comes down to, would you, if you'd bought your Baja Light, or if you'd bought your wiring harness or mount, would you have thrown it away? Would you have pitched it in the garbage and then went to somewhere else, Prior Performance, Forever Rad, whoever, and bought a new one because it came from whatever A10 was called at the time? Cali Raised, that's what it was. And and I don't think a lot of people would have, and I'm confident a lot of people did not. Maybe they won't do business with them anymore, but they weren't going to throw away several $100s worth of merchandise. And there's still plenty of people out there that will support them, and that's their choice. Is that really the right thing to do? But we go back to how this day and age, sometimes this cancel culture or whatever you want to call it, they shut people down. You never hear from them again. Sometimes it boosts them, and it's actually better for them, personally, financially, whatever. But where's that fine line? Like where's that gray area? Why do people continue to support them and can't? I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but I know that I try to have a moral compass that I go by, and if there's people that I follow and listen to their podcast or watch their YouTube channel or buy their merchandise, and they come back and it comes out they're being racist or there's some kind of pedophile thing going on or whatever, then I'm dropping that stuff. I'm throwing that stuff away. Like why support that? Why? Well, what are you gaining from that? And I would question someone's moral compass and their values if they're going to continue to support somebody and or a company like that.
Here's my problem kind of with the whole thing is that, number one, social media has given everyone a voice, and I don't know that everybody should have a voice.
Sure.
Right? Maybe not on those types of platforms or that big of a platform. I mean, myself included. I'm not excluding myself. I'm just saying I don't know that
Sure.
everyone should have a voice, right? Number two, with cancel culture and that kind of behavior, we've placed ourselves in a situation that we like to be the moral police for certain things, but we're extraordinarily infantile in how inconsistent we are about it. And what I mean about that is let me just give you an example. Let's just say somebody had written an article, the same article in Easy Rider, about somebody who killed somebody else.
Okay.
Do you think the uproar would be the same? I
No.
don't think that it would be. Why
I mean,
not?
You're going to the movie theater to watch a murder mystery.
Right. Why not? I mean, what are the most popular podcasts out there right now? They're
Sure,
murder
true crime.
podcasts.
Yeah.
True crime, right?
Yep.
We glorify murder, but we vilify pedophilia. Right? We've become the moral police on what's right and wrong and what we determine. We've glorified porn. Right?
Sure.
I mean, you put out a sex tape and you're going to get popular. You're not going to you're not going to be vilified for it, right? We glorify thievery. We glorify we glorify unscrupulous business practices, right? So that's my problem with it, is that there's some sort of moral compass. Or another example just came out with also within the last few days. There's a gal who was on HGTV. She had a show called Rehab Addict. Okay, she was a single mother. She had gone through a terrible time in her life. She picked herself up. She, pulled up her bootstraps. She ended up getting a TV show. All of these things, all these great things. She got on cameras making a racist comment. One time, one thing. She made a mistake. She said something she shouldn't have. HGTV canceled the show. They pulled all of her stuff off the network and essentially kicked her to the curb. Right?
Yep.
At what point in time do we allow people to have some grace, that they've made a mistake, that they've done something wrong? We allow people to be rehabilitated who are drug addicts.
Well, so let's back up, just make sure there's no confusion here. HGTV firing her, sponsors pulling the plug on her. That's a business. That there's also a business decision with that, and so be it. If I did that at work, I would be fired.
Oh,
Now,
sure.
and I
But
think
what
you're
I'm
getting at
saying though is,
but personally, do I deserve a second chance? Does this lady deserve a second chance in her real life, not on camera life?
right. But what I'm saying though is that we have decided and decided what's right and wrong, and we have this moral compass that's so askew. Because, like I'm saying, I'm here to tell you the reaction wouldn't have been the same if that article had been written about somebody who committed a murder. I just don't think it would have been.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so, and I'm not defending the article. I'm not defending the behavior. I'm not defending writing about it. I'm not defending anything. All I'm doing is playing devil's advocate and saying, listen, there's two sides to this. The other side is that who gets to decide what right and wrong is, and who gets to decide how much weight we place on those things.
Oh, I could tell you, it's typically two different voices. It's either the loudest, and by loudest I mean the one that goes viral. Now, at this day and age,
Sure.
since we're talking about the internet,
Sure,
or
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the last person to tell the story. Because the last
So
person that tells,
explain that one to me. The last person that tells a story. What does that mean?
well, let's use. I heard this in a work environment before. Is someone who's been fired.
Mm-hmm.
Who tells the story on that? The employer, because they're the last person to tell the story. There's the last person standing gets to tell the story.
Oh, right. Well, and oftentimes because there's a stipulation put on the employee that was fired, you know what I mean? There's always
Right.
some sort of some sort of paper in the background that tells that
in the
employee to
internet,
keep their
right?
mouth shut.
The person that's been canceled, no one's going to listen to them. The person
You're right.
is. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying who's right and who's wrong.
Yep. Nope. You're right.
There's two sides to every story. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's very cut and clear. Sometimes it's not.
Right.
But the last person to tell the story is or the person who's the loudest, who goes viral or whatever, or who has the biggest audience, right?
Yep.
That's your barometer nowadays.
Right.
Our barometer nowadays and I'm not saying that's great or that's good. It's
Yep.
oftentimes not. But there's our moral compass, there's our barometer, that's how we gauge the temperature.
Yep. I mean, I made a YouTube video about 2 years ago, and it was a video called 5 Things You Should Do Before Changing Your Exhaust on your Harley, right? And that video has garnered me like 200,000, 250,000 views, something ridiculous like that. But there was no shortage of people that thought I was a moron, right? That thought, regardless of, I wasn't
Welcome to the club,
disparaging,
man.
right? I wasn't disparaging any company. I wasn't disparaging anything that anybody else had done to their bikes. I was simply making a point of, hey, these are the 5 things I think you should do to your bike before you should change your exhaust. And it just started this heated debate, this heated conversation. And it was like an 8-minute video. I mean, it's super short, but your point is exactly right. Like, it's the loudest voice or the last voice that gets all the attention, right? And that's where I would make that point of, sometimes maybe not everybody should have a voice, because
Sure.
because maybe there are people that are not going to articulate themselves in a way that is effective, in a way that can be constructive. I don't think that critical conversations are always destructive conversations to have, right? I mean, you and I can be having a conversation about something and we can vehemently disagree with one another. And that doesn't mean that it's a destructive conversation. In some ways, it's probably a very good conversation, because it says, this is the way I feel and I'm taking a stand, and now you know. And you're doing the same thing. And that doesn't necessarily mean that a person is wrong, right or wrong, right, about that. But there are some things I think that we have that have become mutually acceptable as having less gray area attached to it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, yes, because you joked and said that you feel like now you have an iPhone and social media, and your phone's like your third arm, and that, to me, that's where a lot of that plays in, is that people's opinions are swayed by social media more so than obviously in the last 10 years, and that I think that continues for the foreseeable future. But people are getting, and I say this in quotes if you're not watching, air quotes, is that you're getting your facts from social media and the internet, and how do you know it's true?
Right.
And to me, it comes down to self-awareness.
Well,
I mean, if you got to be self-aware of, wait, you've touched on an algorithm, so now you're seeing the same types of videos over and over, same type of reels. That's going to influence your decision. You need to be aware of that. 2, you need to be aware that what you Googled may not actually be accurate, because,
right.
Hey, I don't know if anyone's aware of this, not everything on the internet's true. Swear to God.
Well, yeah. Well, not only the internet, but we don't have true news stations anymore, right? The news used to be the place where you went for reporting of facts. Now the news is where you go for reporting of a narrative, and that narrative supports a direction that they want you to feel about something.
Well, I'd say yes, narrative, but also oftentimes you see so rushed to be the first person to break the news, so it goes viral. You get credit for that, and
the narrative's probably not even right. Yeah.
Well, and fact checking is harder to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know some folks in the news world, and so I want to give them as much grace. I'm not poo-pooing all news people, but it's harder if you want to win that race. There's less due diligence that happens. Mm-hmm. And so you're more prone for mistakes. Mm-hmm. And that's the society we're in now.
Yeah.
It's a mad race.
Yep. A very smart person told me one time that if you want to educate yourself, you need to watch, read, listen to, however you consume information. You should, if you're going to do 10 hours a week that supports your narrative, you should do 10 hours a week that completely doesn't support your narrative that you believe in. Because otherwise you're only getting one side of the story. You're only getting one viewpoint. You're only getting one thing. And if you continue to feed yourself information that supports how you already feel, you really start to tilt your own internal narrative that can really blind you to the truth.
Oh, absolutely. I look at my parents when I'm in town. They've got one of two different news sources on one of them does all day. Sometimes it's dad, sometimes it's mom, sometimes it's both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all. That's
Mm-hmm.
all they, it's that and Hallmark movies and occasional football or soccer game. That's it.
Right.
So it's wild. Like, I don't know how you could do that.
Right.
I've got to the point now. I used to I stopped watching the local news and watched the national news years ago because
Mm-hmm.
it was too depressing what was happening in my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I watch any news, it's local news because everything on the national level it's either right or left, right? It's
Correct.
influencing this way or this way. I don't want to be influenced. I just want to hear facts,
Right.
unopinionated facts,
Right.
and that's really hard to find nowadays,
Yep.
especially on the
And-
national level.
Yeah, and you kind of have to, it's kind of that trust but verify. So if you have a source that
absolutely.
you listen to, you trust
Yeah.
it, but you have to verify whether or not what you're being told is true.
It's like that risky fart after Taco Bell.
Absolutely, dude.
You're still going to walk in the bathroom and check your drawers because you just don't know. Like, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, this could have gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, you could have had a little turtle head, but you didn't, and you're really, really thankful for it. So
Right. No, I agree, and I think that it's kind of it's a sad state of affairs, right? Because it's kind of like you don't know what to believe, and you don't. It was interesting. We got a message from one of our. My friend Bob got a message from one of our friends that said after the shit went down in Minnesota, his feeds on his social media just kind of went bonkers, and I said to Bob, I said, here's the thing, dude. I said, my social media feed didn't go bonkers when all the shit went down in Minnesota because I don't use my social media that way. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
I don't use my social media. I don't use LinkedIn, or I'm sorry, I don't use Instagram as my news source.
Yeah.
I use Instagram as inspiration, as show me pictures from Moab, Utah, because I want to get out there and ride my bike there someday.
Yeah.
Right? I use Instagram because I want to see cool shit people are doing to their bikes. I want to see cool shit that my friends are doing, or trips that they're doing, or where they've gone, or whatever. I don't use social media to find out, how many people were arrested last week in Minnesota. I don't. And so for me, my social media is not the place that I go to. Social media is my place that I go to, truly, that I try to get inspired, that I try to get lifted up, that I try to get whatever. And it's where I do the same thing, right? So if my friends are posting shit that's cool, a thumbs up, or, that pic is fire, or whatever it is. And maybe it's not even something that, like, I'll give you a perfect example. We had Brad the Biker on our podcast a while ago to talk about motorcycles and talk about, his move from Harley to Honda. Traded his Road Glide in for a Honda Goldwing. And if you've looked at his social media recently, he's gone real deep into photography.
Yeah.
Okay. Like it or not, his shit's pretty cool. Like, he's a good photographer. He's got a good eye for things that, and what I like about photography is that photography is in the eye of the beholder. You might look at Bry's stuff and think it's shit, but I know Bry, and I know Bry's perspective, but I also I love to see life through someone else's eyes. Yeah. And that's part of what I love about Instagram, is that even if someone's taking a picture of their motorcycle, sometimes they capture something like, I'll give you motorcycle camping as a great example. Motorcycle camping's not for everybody, and it's not always for me. But I'm going to tell you something right now. There is almost nothing on Instagram that can capture my romantic idea of motorcycling other than pictures of motorcycle camping. Sure. Fucking motorcycle camping just sucks me in, dude. It just really, for whatever reason, you take a picture of somebody's feet up by a fire, or their tent with their bikes around it, or, you know what I mean, just a bunch of bikers at a tent, like a place where they're camping, like at a rally or whatever, and that shit sucks me in. Sure. And it's because that taps into, like, the real romantic idea of riding your motorcycle across country, which I really love, right? And so I just fucking love that shit. And I don't care who takes a picture of it. I love it all. Yeah. And so, but again, I go back to, my social media wasn't poisoned by everything that was going on in Minnesota because that's not how I use it. So
Well, that's a really great point. I have Banker on a Harley. It's a public account, and it's all motorcycle stuff. I mean, 98.5% of it. I have a personal account that's private, and that's where you'll find pictures of my family and my daughter and girlfriend and everything. And I obviously don't make that public for a reason. And if I go on there right now, there will be things about what's going on in the world, our nation, whatever. Some little bit of politics, sure, but you go to Banker on a Harley. If I'm logged into Banker on a Harley, it's all motorcycle shit, all motorcycle, and some University of Tennessee sports, which that should be in everybody's feed. But I'm biased.
I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Well, did you look in the mirror? Hey, you know,
Whoa,
hey. No. It was probably that comment about Taco Bell earlier, but so it proves your point, and I never really thought about it. But even if you're looking something up, if I'm logged in under Banker, and I hit the search thing, it gives you like previews of things, right? Like things they suggest. It's all motorcycle shit. It literally like 95% of it's all motorcycle shit. It's so nice. So there's your flip side of the downfall of social media and whatever. If you have it set up right, and maybe and I'm not saying there's a wrong way, but if you want it for an escape, that's how you do it. So folks, if you're tired of social media and it's got you worn out, create another account and just put only follow things and look up things for that are your hobbies and that you're interested in, that aren't about like politics and injustice in the world and things of that nature. Just your hobbies, running, motorcycling, camping, artwork, whatever, and get your algorithm filled with that, and that can be an escape for you.
The other thing you can do, there's a little bit of a social media hack. Google, how do I reset my Instagram account? It won't reset. There's actually some settings in your Instagram account where you can go through and reset the algorithm.
Okay.
And I've done it recently, and so did Bob. It changed my life. I had gotten to the point where I was only seeing my content from people that I was subscribed to every 5th or 8th scroll.
Sure. Yeah.
And it was ad after ad after ad after ad after ad after ad after ad, and I was just like, I was really close to just saying fuck Instagram, right? But then I was like, you know what? Not fuck Instagram. I did this to myself. I clicked on an ad. I looked at something, and it fed the algorithm just feeding me. Yep, this is what he likes. I'm just going to give him more of this shit.
You click on that midget porn. There's no coming back, man.
No, dude, you'll get nothing. You'll get nothing but little dudes, getting picked up in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it's
messy.
so right. It can be horribly messy, right? And so, especially if it's midget porn wrestlers. I mean, that makes it even worse, right? Go down like the
wrestling.
most niche thing you can find, and that shit is it gets deep. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, but you can delete it, and I actually reset the algorithm, and it worked for a hot minute where it just I was just getting more of the shit that I wanted to see, and for nothing else, it made me feel better. It really did, and so I think for me, like, lesson learned from this is that. The other thing, there was one more point I guess I wanted to make, is that it kind of goes along with not everybody should have a voice. This is what I would say to every single person out there. If you're going to type something on the internet and it's inherently negative, make sure that you think about whether or not you would be willing to stand up and say what you're going to say to that person's face.
Sure.
Rules you should be governed by. If you would be willing to say what you put on the internet to someone's face, post it. Post away. But if you would not, because you're afraid that somebody's going to open hand slap you across the face, or someone's going to break your fucking teeth out, or they're going to throw you in front of a car, or whatever terrible thing they might do to you because you've shot your mouth off when you shouldn't have, then don't fucking post it.
Yeah.
right? I've said some things that I shouldn't have said, but you know what? I stand by it. I am who I am. But I also don't say shit, and you can go through and you can look at all the shit I've ever posted on the internet. If I say something that I don't like or that somebody might misconstrue as being negative, know me well enough to know that I would say that to their face.
Yeah.
Right? For those of you that have been around me before, you know that's who I am. I stand up for what I believe in, and I stand up for who I am.
My version of that is also every post doesn't need your opinion, good or bad.
No shit. No shit, it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and listen, I know that better than anyone, and I made that mistake a little over a month ago, and it was more of a like, hey, I'm not sure this is the way you want to approach this. And it came across 14 different ways because it was on Instagram. And I got a text from a friend saying, hey, I know what you meant, but here's kind of the context. I was like, you know what? I was just trying to help, but you're right. I deleted the comment because some people didn't like it, and I get it. I should have just kept my mouth shut. You know what? It is what it is. And so, just really think about, does your comment really need to be out in the world?
And if you want to engage with somebody's social media in a positive way, give them props, give them thumbs up. Hey, you did a good job. That picture's awesome. Whatever it is, do that because that feeds the algorithm, right?
Yeah.
That feeds the machine.
Yep.
But because negative comments do the same thing. There are people that'll tell you they love the negative comments just as much because it feeds the machine. I just, I have never used it or think of it that way, and I don't care to feed the machine in a negative way. Because I don't want my feed full of negative shit. I don't want to fill someone else's feed full of negative shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing, don't get on there and start doom scrolling when you're in a shitty mood, because then you're just looking for a fight. You're
Absolutely.
You're gonna shitty comments and get in an argument, and it's just.
Oh, and here's the deal. There may be people that don't like this content that we're doing right now or this topic that we're doing. That's great. DM me. We can talk about it, right?
Yeah, or if you don't like it, don't watch it.
Right, don't
listen
watch it.
to it.
Yeah, don't listen to it. Whatever.
That's what I do with any podcast I don't care for. I mean, no harm, no foul. Hey, man, we know this isn't for everybody. So
right, yeah,
whatever.
I just it's just a It was an interesting kind of set of developments that happened over the last few days. I think it was great for us to touch on it, to talk about it a little bit. I think it spurs on some deeper, more meaningful conversations about those things, about what we put out there, what we've deemed socially right now in the world, what we've deemed to be something that you should be canceled for, something that is or is not acceptable. Because I think those lines have gotten very, very blurry. And I'm not taking a stand or agreeing or not agreeing. I mean, I don't agree with pedophilia whatsoever, right?
Right.
But I'm just saying that those lines are really blurry right now on what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And I don't think that our leaders of our country, no matter your political ilk, are helping things at all anymore. I think they're adding fuel to the fire. I think they're flaming the ideas of dissent. Luke and I have talked about different things in terms of how we I think agree on way more things than we disagree on, and that we are way more similar than we are different. And I've lived my
Taco Bell.
Except for Taco Bell. I've lived my entire life north and west of the Mason-Dixon line, and Luke has not. But at the end of the day, we are way more similar than we are different. I mean, way more. And you're going to see us if you guys come to Mama Tried. I guarantee you, we don't even, we don't dress the same. We don't talk the same. But at the end of the day, that's one of the things that I have found to be the most engaging is that that I know that I can expect to get something different, which is wonderful and great. So
yeah, it's it's not an easy time for Easy Riders, and I hate that for them. but we all make mistakes. Some are bigger than others, and some have bigger blowback than others, and that's where they're at. And as you said earlier, trust but verify. That would have gone a long way here. So you may trust your rider, but still got to verify things. So
yep.
But in the day, I think the point we're trying to make is be self-aware of yourself on the internet. Teach your kids. Guide them in the right way when they start down their social media path in life. If you want to have them watch a couple of our episodes and just say, don't do this, that might be a good idea as well. So,
hey, and if you don't have any kids, look out for a friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have that,
absolutely.
if you have that friend that constantly finds themselves in situations where they're maybe saying things that they shouldn't say or doing things maybe that they shouldn't do, man, reach out to a friend, because a good friend will tell another friend when they're fucking up.
And listen, especially if they're running their mouth, because you're going to end up getting in a fight with them too, and nobody wants that. So
well, nobody wants that shit.
I mean,
nobody wants
shut
that
the fuck
shit at all.
up. So
exactly.
Well, guys,
look around the room. Which one of these guys can you take?
Well, hey man, you get in a fight, I'm just leaving. Sorry, man, I'm going to the bathroom. Sorry. Well, guys, we're looking forward to seeing everybody again this weekend. Mama Tried. We'll get some details out of kind of plans for Friday night and then Saturday and Saturday night as well. Let us know if you're going. If you're not on our Discord, we do have a channel on our Discord that we've put a lot of information out on about that. My dog making an appearance. Thanks, Dixie. But that being said, also if you like what you're hearing, feel free to support us. Patreon. You can chat with everybody, and including us on Discord. Give us a follow and like on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts from, because that feeds the algorithm and helps us and helps push our content out there, and it means a lot to us. And it doesn't cost a damn thing, so help us out. With that being said, that's it. So we'll see you at Mama Tried this weekend. We'll see you back on the airways here next week, and hope you have a great fucking week, everybody.
Get out there on social media since we're talking about it today, and follow Tab Performance and tell them that Moto State Podcast sent you.
Yeah, tell the two good-looking guys sent you.
That's right.
See y'all next week.
We out. Peace.